Donald Trump and MAGA have wasted no time after Charlie Kirk's killing. Instead of waiting for the facts, they immediately pivoted to blaming the usual suspects. It's the liberal media, it's social media, it's TikTok, it's podcasts, and of course, as Carrie Lake did, it's also universities. You can hear the talking points sort of forming in real time, and on Fox News, on right-wing radio, it's creeping into mainstream coverage. The problems are Reddit, TikTok, the platforms are the problem, they are saying. And the narrative is quickly becoming that this toxic online culture radicalized Tyler Robinson. Now, I will be the first to acknowledge, I've talked about it, I wrote about it in my book, I am the first to acknowledge it is true that online spaces can foster extremism. But the target isn't extremist propaganda here. When you hear them talk about the problems with the platforms, they're not saying, you go look for workout content. Next thing you know, you're on Jordan Peterson and the Nelk Boys and Andrew Taint and all of these other people. They are saying it's just the platforms that are the problem. And what do they mean by that? They mean that some of these platforms haven't bent to just Donald Trump and Stephen Miller telling them what they need to promote algorithmically and what not to. Here is a tweet, by the way, from Texas Governor Greg Abbott about the free speech clampdown that they are gloriously joyful about, where there is a picture of a young woman in handcuffs with the text, "This is what happened to the person who was mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination at Texas Tech." Now, I don't mock the deaths of people. I don't celebrate gun violence. I think this is all deplorable and disgusting. And even though I disagreed with Charlie Kirk about just about everything, disagreed with him about the Civil Rights Act, disagreed with him about black pilots, disagreed with him about Martin Luther King, about abortion, bodily autonomy, I disagreed with him about just about everything. I don't believe that the answer here is a clampdown on speech. And this is straight out of the authoritarian playbook. History is full of leaders who take a crisis, doesn't matter what the crisis is, any crisis, they twist it into an excuse to silence critics and to suppress speech. And, we could spend a whole show on examples. Erdogan did it in Turkey after a coup attempt. They said, security concerns mean we have to wipe out opposition media. Viktor Orban in Hungary went after independent outlets, labeling them foreign influenced when they became inconvenient. We've seen, look at Putin, right? Shutting down alternatives to Twitter in Russia under the guise of keeping the nation stable. So what you are seeing right now is Donald Trump reaching for the same page in the manual. We've got a tragedy. We're going to use it to do a crackdown. And notice, by the way, how the media, legacy and corporate media, is mostly playing along. They may mean to, they may not. But there are even some independent and centrist outlets, non-political outlets, that have slipped into this very casually. They go, the things that are going on Reddit, the things that are going on TikTok. And meanwhile, you've got MAGA platforms like Truth Social and Rumble, and you've got right-wing extremist Telegram channels. These are fire hoses of violent rhetoric, conspiracy theories, openly insightful stuff. INCITE is what I'm talking about. And they get a pass. And so the hypocrisy really couldn't be more obvious. When it is their platforms, it's free speech. And in fact, the right loves to say this is a free speech platform, which I find one of the sort of dumbest oxymorons out there. When it's anyone else's platform, or it's a neutral platform, or it's a non-political platform, it's dangerous indoctrination and we've got to shut it down. So if this succeeds, and later we're going to get into how this might affect us, and specifically progressive independent media, if they succeed, if they use this to try to shut down Reddit or limit it, or say, hey, we really got to ban TikTok now, or whatever, things are only going to get worse. YouTube and podcasts, independent media across the board are going to suffer. And that's only going to lead to more radicalization by not providing alternatives to that manosphere ecosystem that algorithmically gets people sucked into a lot of this stuff. So understand that when they talk about free speech, their version of free speech is Fox News, Newsmax, and Truth Social are the only platforms left. Twitter becomes a right-wing farce, which it already has. Everybody else is either silenced or forced underground, where the platforms won't have their content, and they've got to figure out how to get their message out using, I guess, their own platforms, which they have to create. So this is much bigger than TikTok or Reddit. This is about the precedent of tragedy weaponized into excuses to suppress speech and to do authoritarian crackdowns. And so when they say we've got to go against the extremism, Trump said yesterday the extremism is only on the left. And so by definition, when they go for the extremism, they're coming for the left. This is potentially the perfect moment to do it. It's clear they're setting their sights on progressive independent media, which we'll talk about after the break. If you've ever been blocked from going to certain websites or watching your favorite shows on Netflix because they're not available in your country, check out our sponsor, Private Internet Access, which is a VPN fully optimized for streaming and downloading large video files. It'll hide your real IP address and reroute your internet traffic through a secure server in any of 91 countries or all 50 US states. And this lets you access region-restricted content on the web, as well as platforms like Netflix and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime, no matter where you are. I've been using Private Internet Access to get soccer games from Argentina not available in the US. I love it. It's super easy. You open the app, you choose a server, and you're in. Works on unlimited devices, so your whole household can stream freely. And it also supports lightning-fast peer-to-peer file sharing, and they can prove they do not log your activity. Right now, Private Internet Access is giving my audience 83% off, which is just $203 a month and 4 extra months for free. Go to piavpn.com/Pakman. The link is in the description.